So now we're going to do the deliciously Spanish rice to which we've been referring. I'll put that there. I'm going to start out, there actually is not an onion in the recipe that you have, but we always say it never hurts to add an onion. It's such a nutritious, wonderful, delicious addition to any meal. And to dice an onion, you cut the end off away from the root, then cut through. You're always aiming to get a flat surface when you're cutting vegetables. And as Kathy said, whenever possible, avoid the slippery surface. Then we're just going to cut at about 1/8 of an inch intervals.
Quarter. However big of dice you want.
Yeah.
If the smaller,
it's probably a quarter.
The closer together, the smaller the dice, the bigger it'll be, more chunky.
In towards the root end.
But not through.
But not through it. Then you cut across that, and because of the little interleaving onion slices or pieces, it comes into a perfect dice.
Nice and
like
easy.
So, beautiful. Now, we're going to have I didn't want to turn this on because it's a Teflon-lined pan or a non-stick pan, and we don't ever want to leave it heating without anything in it. So now I'm going to add a little olive oil. That's probably, teaspoon of olive oil in there?
Maybe
2 teaspoons, all right.
Perhaps.
And you could use the whole onion, but I just don't want to take all day showing you how to cut up an onion. So when this just gets nice and warm, we are going to add...
The reason you don't want to heat a nonstick pan is if it gets over a certain temperature, like 600 degrees, which it could, if you just put it on the stove and walked away.
But probably not on this stove.
Probably not on this stove. But it could. This is a pretty fierce stove, actually.
Yeah.
It can give off it can emit a toxic gas. So we want to make sure the oil will burn before it gets to that temperature, because this oil will burn at about 400 degrees.
I always like to just test with a piece of vegetable. Yes, that looks like it's sizzling a bit.
Sizzle, sizzle.
Because...
Go ahead.
Well, we'll pretend.
It's kind of sizzling.
It is sizzling.
I see a little action in there. It's starting to dance.
So now, just going to put the rest. I like to turn my knife over so that I'm not scraping the lovely sharp blade on the cutting board. If you think of that, that's a good thing. And this is a silicone spatula. We'll stir that around. And then to these onions, I'm going to add the teaspoon of cumin, a heavenly fragrant spice. You could always add a little more if you like more. And we're letting this spice bloom. We're letting the aromatics and the spice come to life and flavor these onions. So we like those to get nice and soft. And then we add our diced green chilies to this pot. We'll just pretend they're a bit more sizzled than they are. That would take about 4 to 5 minutes in real time. So just stir those in. Then next, we're going to stir in the water, 1 1/3 cups of water, and 2 little cans of V8 juice.
Anybody know the 8 V's in V8?
But this gives a lovely flavor. You never want to overdo it, because if you have too much acidity when you're trying to cook a whole grain particularly, such as rice, it just won't cook. Oops, upside down. But this just gives it a lovely flavor. If you don't have V8 juice and maybe you've got a can of fire-roasted tomatoes, puree some of those with half water, and that would work very well. Then we're going to add to that 1 1/2 cups of rice. We are using a beautiful Lundberg rice here. It's many different grains.
It's a wild rice blend with brown rice and wild rice and all kinds of good stuff in there.
And various grasses, actually. There are a lot of rices are actually grasses.
Yes, the wild rices are.
But they all have slightly different flavor, slightly different texture, and you've got to think about ways of making it more exciting. And you're also you're using a locally or American-grown product when you're using the Lundberg particularly. Now, so that's going to cook away, and it's going to take a little bit of time. In the meantime, you've got your beautiful bell pepper, and if there's a stalk that's in the way, I'll just take that off. But we're going to use this bell pepper to stuff. So we cut it in half and then pop it on a steamer basket into some water that's already boiling in a pot, and put the lid on and steam it for 10 minutes. Then, when 10 minutes is up, it's quite amazing. You're saying, well, why didn't she take the seed pod out? Well, because it comes out so easily when it's cooked. It just pops right out like that. And then sometimes if there are a few
And it helps
seeds...
us all keep it in shape too, doesn't it, Lizzie?
It does.
So it doesn't collapse on itself?
You want to keep it cut side up. That also helps keep it in shape. And if there's a tiny little bit of pith in there, it's really very good water-soluble fiber, and you don't have to tell anyone. Whoops. And they're not going to know. So then we're going to put it in our dish, but we are going to, first of all, thank you, we're going to finish making this rice very flavorful. So we can turn that off now, and so pretend that was all done and taking all that time. And so then we have this gorgeous big pot of rice, delicious rice, to which we are going to add some extra flavorings.
That was 40 minutes that just time elapsed.
Yeah,
there.
it just went zoop. We've got some medium, thick and chunky salsa that's going to get folded into there.
More veggies, more veggies.
More veggies, yes. This makes a beautiful vegetarian option because we're also going to add in some black beans, which we've drained and rinsed. Now, the sodium content of this dish is going to be higher than it really is because we've drained and rinsed the black beans.
Which reduces the sodium by about 40% and gets rid of some of those musical parts of beans.
So, there we go. Very economical.
But check your salsa because these vary tremendously.
Boy.
This one's only 83
milligrams
of
of
sodium, and some of them are 250, so really check that.
And we have found this is so flavorful, we haven't needed to add any sodium to this. So that's a good thing because we've got all that flavor going on in here. So this beautifully distributed all those good things. We've got our nicely steamed and softened bell pepper. And we are using an array of colors. We say that the colored ones, the ones other than the green, are more nutrient dense, but the green ones are still pretty darn good. And we're putting all these great flavors and nutrients into them. So there we have a beautiful bell pepper. And I'd say I would probably eat 2 of those in a meal myself. But, you know, one would probably do me for lunch. Then we want to sprinkle, I got this lovely Mexican mix shredded cheese, but you could use a sharp cheddar, or you could you could do a crumbled feta maybe, or whatever you choose, or even a blue cheese could be rather nice on there. A Roquefort would be yummy on there. So I'm making a mess of the table, but I'm getting that cheese on there. And then I usually spritz that with a little pump olive oil. Thank you, Vanna.
That's what we like for our spray, our olive oil spray.
Yeah,
gives you a little bit of an upper body workout.
Workout here as you pump.
And
this
you can
is the original version. The ones today look a lot more high-tech. They're in stainless steel cylinders.
Question
so just
over
a
here.
little tiny spritz of that olive oil on there, just to help keep that nice and moist. And
do you cover those, or do you keep them
No, I
open?
just, actually, what do I say I do? I think I cover them first.
I think you start them covered.
I think I start them covered. Yeah, I do, because I want to keep everything nice and moist. And that's why I spritzed the top, because the first time I did them, I covered them, and then all the cheese came off with the cover, and you don't want that. Question down here.
Question.
Sure. What is the proper term for Chihuahua cheese? It's like, I guess, a Mexican cheese, and it's really white, and it's yummy. I don't know what, but I can never find it.
It's kind of like a Mexican feta. It's a fresh, and it is Chihuahua, and they have some that's more crumbly. It's pretty high in sodium, but it's a really nice flavored cheese.
So if you're just
They
going
have
to
it
use
actually
it
at
as
Bush's.
if you're just going to use it as a garnish, and this is what we're trying to tell you, we are going to say, I mean, we did say stop the pop, but we're not going to say stop the cheese because there are a lot of good benefits in cheese. And now we can turn this meal, part of this rice is going to be part of the side dish for the chicken. And then we also have this other great plate where we put the rice along with some shredded carrots, some spinach, and a little cilantro to bring out those Mexican flavors, and some avocado slices, and we rolled them up in whole wheat flour tortillas. And so we have yet another great plate. See how easy and fun healthy cooking can be? And then we just garnished it with some edible garnishes. What could be more delicious than a few little bits of carrot, cucumber, and grapes? So that's our other gorgeous plate, and I think that could just maybe go there. And these will go in the oven and come out roasted and beautiful, and they can go